All right. Good morning, everyone. We thank God for each and every one of you who are here. We're just going to give it just a few more moments and we're going to get started. I hope that the sound is better and still holding on for us on today. All right. Let's look at Psalm 116. Thank you. I'm glad to hear that everything is worked out well. I think I got all the bugs out. I hope I did. Working on it yesterday, and I think that it's good. Thank you. All right. Let's go to Psalm 116. Psalm 116. I thank God for each and every one of you, your early risers, those of you who are diligent with being with me here on Saturday morning at 8 a.m. So let's look at Psalm 116. Psalm 116. Let's see what we can gather and glean from scriptures on today. Psalm 116, and let's start reading at verse number 1. Psalm 116 and verse number 1. It reads, I love the Lord because he hath heard my voice and my supplications, because he hath inclined his ear unto me. Therefore will I call upon him as long as I live. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell gat hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. Then I called upon the name of the Lord. O Lord, I beseech thee, deliver my soul. Gracious is the Lord and righteous. Yea, our God is merciful. The Lord preserveth the simple. I was brought, I was brought low, and he helped me. Return unto thy rest, O my soul, for the Lord hath dealt bountifully with thee. For thou hast delivered my soul from death, mine eyes from tears, and my feet from falling. I will walk before the Lord in the land of the living. I believed, therefore have I spoken. I was greatly afflicted. I said in my haste, all men are liars. What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits toward me? Verse number 12, one more time. What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits towards me? One more time, verse number 12. What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits toward me? Excuse me. I'm going to stop right there. And we're going to work in that thought of what shall I render unto the Lord? What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits towards me? What shall I render? Being kept by God, being loved by God, being protected by God, having a God that you can cast all of your cares upon him, having a God that you can run to in a time of need, having a God that will, or having a God that you can call upon, and not only one that you can call upon, but one who will give you the rendered needed results at the time of your need. So the question is this morning, what shall I render? What shall I render? Look at verse number 12 one more time. Psalm 116 and verse number 12. It says, what shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits towards me? Somebody said, yeah, my life. Yeah, give him my life. But we're going to examine that, and we're going to expound upon that and put something more to it. This anonymous writer, of this psalm, because the writer is anonymous. They don't know who actually wrote this particular psalm. But this anonymous writer has experience with God. Look at what he says, because he says in verse number 1, he says, the Lord, he says, I love the Lord because he has heard my voice and my supplication. He said, I love the Lord because he heard my voice and he heard my cries, my supplications, crying out for mercy. And not only did he hear me, but he bent his ears from his holy habitation. He bent his ear down unto me. So this anonymous psalm writer says, therefore will I call upon him. He said, therefore will I call upon him. In other words, he said, I've got history with God. And I will call upon him. How long? He says, as long as I live, I will call on him. He says, now this is where the I comes in. He says, I will. He says, what will I do for God? Now, everyone has to take an individual examination. Now, you got to put yourself in there. What will I do for God? Somebody already said they'll give their life for God. Well, we're going to see. We're going to go through that. We're going to examine that. We're going to look at that. What will I repay to God? Listen to me good now. Listen to me good. What will I repay to God for all that God has done for me? Now, I don't want you to rush too fast. I want you to think about this now. Think about it. What will I, put yourself in there, what will I give to God for all that he has done for me? Now, I'm not just talking to giving him lip service, not say one thing and do another thing, not profess God only in word, but in your deeds also. Because see, the Bible deals with the vow and not keeping of a vow. Where the Bible says, don't vow a vow unto the Lord and not keep it. See, that's why I say don't rush too fast now. See, oftentimes we rush real fast and we just quick look Numbers 30. Verse number 1, and Moses spake unto the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, this is the thing which the Lord hath commanded. If a man vow a vow unto the Lord, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceedeth out of his mouth. Vow is a vow unto God, defer not to pay, for he hath no pleasure in food. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Verse number 5. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. Good. Deuteronomy, let me get you one more. Let's deal with these vows here. Deuteronomy 23. Deuteronomy 23. And let's look at verse number 21. When thou shalt vow a vow unto the Lord thy God, thou shalt not slack to pay it. For the Lord thy God will surely require it of thee, and it should be sin in thee. But if thou shalt forbear to vow, it shall be no sin in thee. Verse number 23. That which is gone out of thy lips, thou shalt keep and perform. even a free will offering, according as thou hast vowed unto the Lord thy God, which thou hast promised with thy mouth. Isn't it something? Do you see how God deals with everything? And God allows man to handcuff his own self. Whereas you got to be able to, if you say that you're going to do it, do it. I mean, he said, even down to the free will offering. You know, oftentimes we say, well, I'm going to do this for the Lord. I'm going to give this to the Lord. I'm going to give this above the tithe and offering. I'm going to give a free will offering. In other words, I'm going to bless God for all that God has blessed me. And nobody knows anything about your free will offering other than you and God and what you said that you're going to do for God. But when it's time to do that free will offering, you hold back. Well, who are you holding back on? Nobody else knew but you and God. So who are you holding back on? You're holding back on God. You're blocking yourself and causing yourself to error, causing yourself to sin. In other words, keep your word. The psalmist says, look, the psalmist says, I will call, go back to Psalm 116. The psalmist says, I will call upon him as long as I live. Look at verse number 2, Psalm 116, verse number 2. Because he hath inclined his ear unto me, therefore will I call upon him as long as I live. I will call upon him as long as I live. Verse number 9, he says, I will walk before the Lord in the land of the living. So in other words, this walking in the presence of God, this walking before the Lord. Let me see. Testing 1, 2. All right, hang on, let me see. Testing 1, 2. Now my sound is good. Now I just checked all of my levels. My sound is good. I wonder what your sound is. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. See, I mean, I'm getting these messages regarding my sound is bad. Let me see. Huh? Oh, did it? Oh, okay. All right. All right. I just need, I know there is a lag. So there is a few second lag. So that's what we're going. I think we're back okay now. All right. So let's deal with it. Psalm 116. Psalm 116 and verse number 2. Because he hath inclined his ear unto me, therefore will I call upon him as long as I live. Look at what the psalmist says. He says, I'm going to walk before the Lord. In verse number 9, he says, I'm going to walk before the Lord in this land while I live. Now, if you don't do it now while you live and in this flesh, then when will you do it? See, we only get one life in this flesh to do it. How many, this is a question. How many have vowed a vow to serve the Lord and have backslid? Well, let's be honest. How many have vowed a vow to the Lord, whenever it was, and have slid back away from God? turn it back on God. See, you got to be honest with yourself. You got to be honest with yourself, because many have vowed a vow. Many have vowed a vow unto God, and they have turned their back on God, and now they're just walking around foolish, meandering around, mad every day, mad at the world, mad at everybody, doing everything, saying everything, partaking of everything, conflicted in their mind, troubled in their body, spirit all bad. The psalmist says here, he says in verse number 13, I will take the cup of salvation and call upon the name of the Lord. Now, remember, backtrack just for a moment. Remember, so don't rush out too fast and just begin to talk words too fast without counting of the cost. Let's look at something that took place. Turn to Matthew. Now, this is going to be a little lengthy reading. Matthew chapter 26. Let's go to Matthew 26. Now, remember, think about what we're talking about here. I would take on the cup of salvation, the cup of salvation. Look at Matthew. Now, I want to just kind of show this parallel as to how sometimes we can just say a thing and not keep what was said. Now, Matthew 26 and verse number 20. Well, let's start at verse number 20. Now, when the even was come, he sat down with the 12. Now, this is Jesus and the 12 disciples. All right? Look. Now, when the even was come, he sat down with the 12. Jesus and the disciples having the Last Supper. And as they did eat, he said, verily I say unto you, that one of you shall betray me. And they were exceeding sorrowful, and began every one of them to say unto him, Lord, is it I? Now, they wanted to know, because they knew that Jesus, filled with the Spirit of God, knew by his words that one was going to betray them, but they were not so sure within themselves if they were the one that was going to do the betraying. So he said, and he answered and said, he that dippeth his hand with me in the dish, the same shall betray me. Son of Man goeth as it is written of him, but woe unto that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It had been good for that man if he had not been born. Then Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave thanks and gave it to them, saying, Drink ye all of it, for this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sins. Now, we already talked about sins the other day and how we have to deal with our sins and our sin-naturedness. So if anyone tells you that we don't sin after you've been baptized, that's furthest from the truth. Let me keep on. I don't want to go back to that point yet today. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of the fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. And when they had sung a hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. Then saith Jesus unto them, all ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. But after I am risen again, I will go before you into Galilee. Peter answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended. Peter said unto him, verily I say unto thee, that this night before the cock crow, thou shalt deny me thrice. Even the disciples didn't keep their word. Let's say that one more time. They walked with Jesus, slept with Jesus, sat at the master's feet, learned from Jesus, and saw with their eyes the miracles that Jesus had performed. Feeding of the 5,000 plus men, women, and children, giving sight to the blind, opening up the ears to the deaf, and giving knowledge to those that were dumb, casting out devils, and all manner of miracles, even those that were done that were not recorded in the Holy Writ. Even the disciples didn't keep their word. Verse number 31 again. Then saith Jesus unto them, all ye shall be offended because of me this night. For it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock shall be scattered abroad. Be offended. Be offended. Everyone will walk away. That's what that be offended is. Everyone will walk away. That's Jesus said. Everyone, all ye shall be offended. But Peter said something. Peter said, I will never walk away. Never will I be offended. Look at verse number 33. Peter answered and said unto him, though all men shall be offended because of thee, yet will I never be offended. But look, Jesus said unto him, verily I say unto thee, that this night before the cock crow, thou, you Peter, shalt deny me thrice. 3 times you'll deny me. Peter said in verse 35, Peter arguing this point. Peter arguing this point with his words. He's arguing this point. Verse number 35, Peter said unto him, though I should die with thee, yet will I not deny thee. Likewise also said all the disciples. Peter said, now I die with you. And then the disciples took Peter's words and they joined in and said, I die with you, Lord. I'm telling you, even the disciples didn't keep their word. They said, I won't leave you. I won't walk away with you. Now remember, Jesus had not been arrested as of yet. Now watch. But they said, Lord, I won't leave you. Lord, I'll be with you. Lord, whatever you want me to do, I'm there. Lord, I got your back. Lord, I got your front. Lord, I got your side. Lord, I'm going to do it all. Doesn't that sound kind of, isn't that sound kind of ringing in your ear of what you said that you were going to do for God and how you would never leave him, how you would never forsake him, but just when it didn't go the way you wanted it to go, you found yourself running, or you found yourself backsliding, or you found yourself finding other things to do than to serve God. Look at verse number 36. It don't take long. Remember verse number 35. Peter said, I will die with you. And the other disciples said, yes, Lord, I'll be there with you too. Verse number 36. Then cometh Jesus with them unto a place called Gethsemane, and said unto the disciples, sit ye here while I go and pray yonder. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee, and began to be sorrowful and very heavy. Then saith he unto them, my soul is exceeding sorrowful, even unto death. Look at what he asked for. He said, man, he said, brothers, I'm troubled. I'm sorry. My heart is heavy. I almost feel like I'm getting ready to die now when my time is not here yet. He said, tarry ye here, and this is all I want you to do. He said, tarry ye here, talking to Peter and the sons of Zebedee, James, John. He said, tarry ye here and watch with me. What you're doing today, just watch with me. And he went, verse number 39 says, and he went a little further, fell on his face, and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. Remember, Peter said, I will die with you. I won't leave you, Lord. I won't walk out on you, Lord. I won't desert you, Lord. But when they walked with Jesus going to a place called Gethsemane. Jesus going to a place called Gethsemane, and he had already told him, man, I'm heavy. My heart is heavy. I'm almost exhausted to the point of death, full of sorrow. And they said, oh, we got you, Lord. Okay. Verse 40, and he cometh unto the disciples and find them what? Find them sleep. Remember, he said, now wait a minute. He said, tarry here. He said, verse number 38, he said, tarry ye here and watch with me. But they went. When Jesus walked away and went a little further, what'd they do? They crawled up, went to sleep. And he cometh unto the disciples in verse number 40, and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, what? Could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Now remember, Peter said in verse number 35, he said, I die with you. I'm here with you. I'm down with you. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do it. This was the easy test. There wasn't no stones here. Wasn't no spears here. Wasn't no bricks to be thrown at you. Wasn't no guards to be hitting you upside your head. This was the easy test. They gave their word, Lord, I'll be with you. But even in the ease, didn't watch with him. He said, watch with me. Stay here, and all you got to do right now is watch with me, because the work that I've got to do for my Father, I got to do it by myself. That's what I'm talking. That's what I'm talking. We just can't give lip service to God. We just can't say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that, and then we don't keep our word because it sounds good in the moment. They said, Lord, I won't walk out on you. I won't run out on you. But look at it. 1 hour. Verse number 40. And he cometh unto the disciples and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, what? Could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Could you not watch with me 1 hour? Man, you just talked all that stuff. You just said that you'll never leave me. You'll be here for me. You got my back. You got my front. You got my side. You got my north and my south. You got my 6 o'clock. You got my 12 o'clock. You're gonna watch with me? But 1 hour? You couldn't give up 1 hour. You didn't have enough inside of you for 1 hour that you can just watch, that you can tarry, that you can pray for 1 hour. Didn't even pray with him 1 hour. Man, that's something important for us. They didn't pray with him 1 hour. Nowadays, prayer, we have a hard time praying. We don't even talk to God 2 minutes. Rush on and prayer is like a thing of the past. It's like a microwave. We want to pray fast, and we want it to be done even faster. I'll throw this quick analogy at you. I'm reminded when we got the first microwave. And on the microwave, it said if you cook beef, put it on for this amount of minutes. You cook pork, put it on for this amount of minutes. You cook chicken, you put it on for this amount of minutes. Well, I didn't know. I thought the microwave was supposed to be this very fine, fancy machine that was supposed to do some cooking. I put some chicken some raw chicken in that microwave, put it in a bowl, and put my fixings on it, and put the top on it, and put that microwave for 45 minutes, and went and sat down and watched whatever I was watching on television, and 40 minutes went by and the buzzer went off, and I went back and took that top off, and that chicken wasn't ready. So I said, well, let me give it a few more minutes and push 45 more minutes, and I'll come by to tell you that chicken never did get done. See, some things you just can't rush. So some things you just can't rush. Some things you just can't throw out the old traditional. Take that chicken out and put it in the oven. Prayers is one of those things. We can't cast aside the importance of prayer. Can't cast aside the importance of tarrying. We can't cast aside the importance of being on one accord with God. We can't cast aside the importance of talking to the Lord. Rush on and say, Lord, just give me all that I want. Amen. Wait a minute. What? How have we gotten to the point where we're diminishing the importance of prayer? They didn't even pray with him a few hours. Matter of fact, they didn't even pray with him 1 hour. Verse number 4, he said, what, could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Then verse number 41, he says, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went again the second time and prayed. Jesus, that is. He went again the second time and prayed, saying, oh, my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. He came and found them, my God, and he came and found them asleep again. Now, this is the second time. First time they couldn't do it. Remember, they had just said, Lord, I'm with you. Couldn't even watch. Came again and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. Now, not only were they asleep, they was in a deep sleep. Their eyes was heavy. You know, they was in one of them sleeps, you know, when your children in the car and they go to sleep and you've been riding for a little while. Heavy came home. That so eyes heavy. Jesus left them and went away again and prayed the third time, saying, same words. Then Timothy to his disciples, y'all gone on. Sleep on and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand. Son of Man is returned to the hands of sinners. Okay, let me see what I can do. All right. I think what's happening here is I'm getting a little too excited. And my microphone can't handle my mouth. That's what's happening here. My microphone can't handle my mouth. All right, let's see if we can get this to be straightened out here. All right. So let me back up. Let me back up. Let me back up. Remember, the disciples told Jesus, Peter told Jesus, I'm with you. But Jesus said, tarry here with me 1 hour. 40. Jesus came back after he went a little further, and they were asleep. Jesus said, what, you could not watch with me 1 hour. He said, watch and pray that you enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. He went again second time and prayed, saying, oh, my Father, if this cup may not pass away from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. Not only were they asleep, but they were in a deep sleep. Not only were they asleep, but they were in a trance type of a sleep. And he left them, went again, and prayed the third time, saying the same words. Then cometh he to his disciples and saith unto them, sleep on now, and take your rest. Behold, the hour is at hand. The Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise, let us be going. Behold, he is at hand and doth betray me. Go back to Psalm 116. Psalm 116, verse number 12. What shall I render unto the Lord? What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits towards me? What shall I render unto the Lord for all of his benefits towards me? In other words, you've got to take a close look into yourself. You got to take a close look into yourself. Got to take a self-examination. Take that mirror and look at yourself and take in consideration all that God, watch this, all that God has done, all that God is doing, all that God will do. But don't answer too fast. Don't answer too slow. The benefits, you got to chalk it up. The benefits, you have to count them up and look at all that God has done for you. Don't allow the devil to taint your thinking. You know, you're thinking about your loved one who died and passed on. And one thing about it, we all gonna die. We all gonna go through troubles. What did Job say? Job 14 and 1. Job 14 and 1. He said, man that is born of a woman is yet but a few days and full of trouble. He said, he cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. He fleeth also as a shadow and continueth not. We all got to go through some stuff. The moment we face adversity, the moment some face trials, the moment some folk get sick, the moment some folk get upset. Now, let me pause right there. It's an interesting thing how you can get upset with folk in the church and have tedious disagreements about this one sat in my seat, or this one don't talk to me, they talk to that one, or this one think they better than me, and get upset with somebody in the church, and you'll just stop coming to the Lord's house. But you'll stay in that secular world, you'll work on that job, you'll work with all them hell raisers and hellions for 30 years. You don't stop going to work. But see, the difference is you were going to work for a paycheck. See, so why is it not a same standard that you're coming to church for something other than what others would folk can't give you? See, you come to church because you serve the Lord, and you're supposed to serve the Lord with gladness. But when we come to church, we're supposed to be on one accord, with one mindset, with the same mindset of servitude to God, of being filled with the same spirit. The moment you get upset, stop serving God. Stop fellowshipping even. Don't want to be with the saints of God. But I tell you, when you consider all that God is and all that God has done, all of his benefits, when you began to uh, tabulate and calculate all the tears that you have cried, all the time that you have called upon God, my God, you can have enough tears to fill a river when you called on God and God heard your cry. When you called on God and God didn't turn his back on you. When you called on God and God turned to you and to you in the moment when you needed him, he bent down and he picked you up. And then you said, thank God. You can say now, thank God for not leaving me in my error. Thank God for not leaving me when I was on my road to destruction. Look at verse number 3, Psalm 116. The sorrows of death compassed me. That's what the psalmist said. The sorrows of death compassed me, and the pains of hell gat a hold upon me. I found trouble and sorrow. He said, I found trouble and sorrow. So you got to be real with yourself. Come on now. You 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 haven't been so good. Come on now. You old rotten thing, you looking at me funny. I feel you're looking at me funny. But one thing about it, we're all sinners. We've all done contrary to the will of God. We've all committed sinful acts when the shadow of death loomed, when the hellhounds, yeah, when the hellhounds were biting and nipping and fighting and snagging and dragging you around and foaming at the mouth, when you were fighting on the inside to do right, but you kept on doing wrong. Kept on saying, which way shall I go? Which way shall I go? Which way shall I go? When he got when he got a hold on you. What was that saying? When he got a hold of you? Well, I don't know what got a hold of you. Could have been the hell of drugs, could have got a hold on you. Could have been the hell of dope, could have got a hold on you. I don't know what your hold was. Could have been that strong drink had a hold on you, make you make mockery of the Lord. I don't know what had you. Could have been the hell of fornication, the hell of adultery. I don't know what got a hold of you. Could have been the hell of homosexuality. I just don't know what got a hold of you. But you got to be honest with yourself and know without a shadow of a doubt that it got hold of you. Hell of hatred, hell of that perverse and wickedness. When hell had you by the neck. Yeah. When hell had you by the neck and you were in trouble. You was getting ready to tap out. You know, in the MMA, you fight until you get knocked out or until you tap out. See, the devil is trying to knock you out, or he trying to get you to tap out. Tap out how? Tap out and say, well, I'm not gonna serve God. Tap out and say, I'm not gonna follow God. Tap out and say, I'm gonna stay at home. Tap that and that's what uh 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 has happened to many. They didn't tapped out. They ain't knocked out yet. What I mean, they're not dead yet. They're not knocked out yet, but they tapped out. Tapped out on God. Tapped out on God. Hell, Satan got that chokehold around your neck, strangling you, choking you out, and you tapped out. You know you're supposed to be in the Lord's house, but you done tapped out to the will of Satan. Trouble was in your name. Trouble was your middle name. Trouble was your first name. Trouble was your last name. Why? Because you were down to do anything. You were just down, low down, dirty. You know, they called you Mr. Do Dirty. Mr. Do Dirty, meaning you do anything. You do everybody dirty. You didn't care what you did. Mr. Do Dirty. But thank God for verse number 5 in this psalmist. Look at what he said in verse number 5. He said, gracious is the Lord and righteous. Don't forget about that. Gracious is the Lord and righteous. Yea, our God is merciful. Thank God for his grace. Thank God for his grace. Thank God for the righteousness of God. What do I mean? Thank God for the righteousness of God. Because God is one way. God is holy. Man is unholy. Man has to come up to the standard of God. God doesn't come down to the frailties and falsities and insecurities of man. No, no. Man has to come up to the standards of God. God says, be ye holy. Why? For I am holy. Thank God for his righteousness. Thank God for his mercy. Verse number 6. The Lord preserveth the simple. I was brought low, and he helped me. The Lord preserved me from me. The Lord preserved me from me. Don't you know that oftentimes, you know, when you're doing wrong, you don't even mean yourself no good. You don't even mean yourself no good. The Lord preserved me from my simple and foolish activities. In other words, I fell low. I fell low. Sin takes you low. You become low down. Low. What is the lowness representative of, or representation of? The low, the tomb, death, 6 feet under, low, death, in the ground, in the grave, low, in the earth. Have anybody ever, or have you, because I know we don't like to talk about ourselves, but have you ever told somebody, man, you low down, a girl, you low down? In other words, you wouldn't even think that a person would do what they have done. And you just call, man, you're low down. You low down, dirty, rotten. You said something else, but you rotten scoundrel. See, y'all, you remember when you said something else. You low down, dirty, so and so. You know what I'm talking. You become low. You become the walking dead. You're alive in body, physically alive, but you're dead spiritually. But thank God. See, everybody ought to get happy now. Thank God, because they all been in the same boat. We all ride in the same boat. But thank God that God helped me. Turn to Psalm 46 and verse number 1. Watch this. God is a very, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. We in trouble. God, we in trouble. But the only way we're going to get out of this trouble is by your help. God, we need you. We're in trouble, and the only way we're going to get out of this trouble that we're in is that we've got to call on God. Have you ever said this? Have you ever said this? God, I'm sinking deep in sin, far from the peaceful shore, very deeply stained within, sinking to rise no more. And you went on and said, however that song goes, that standard goes, but the master of the sea heard my disparaging cry. I was sinking deep in sin, sinking to rise no more. In other words, I was dying, almost done, almost tapping out, almost giving out, almost done. But I cried to God and he heard me. See, some folk need to cry unto God right now because you're sinking, you're going through, you're saying if it ain't one thing, it's another. But you're sitting around doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. So you got to cry out to God. Cry out to God, he'll hear you. Thank God. Thank God. I know he'll hear you. Cry out to God. He'll not only will he hear you, but he'll help you. He helped me. He turned me around. Now I'm going to walk before God. I'm going to give the sacrifice of thanksgiving. I'm going to call upon his name. Psalm 116, verse number 12. What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits toward me? What shall I render? The rendering, the rendering, the rendering, the 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 fat from the duck, the rendering. In other words, what will I give unto God? What am I going to give unto God? All that he has done for me. What am I going to give unto God? I shall render unto him. Why? Why shall I render? I'm going to render unto him First off, because he loves me. He first loved me. Not only did he first love me, then he saved me. He protected me. He provided for me. He has given me, and he keeps on giving. So I just can't keep on taking without giving something back to him. What am I going to give back to him? I'm I, I, I'm gonna live a life. Look at what the psalmist said. Verse number 18. He said, "I will pay my vows unto the Lord now in the presence of all his people." In other words, I'm not gonna hide. My God, I got a God to serve. I got a God to glorify. I got a God to lift his name. I got a God to praise. I got a God to shout for. I got a God to live a life for. And I don't care who's around. That's why when you come to the Lord's house, you shouldn't have no problem with praying. You shouldn't have no problem with talking to God. That's what we're here for. I don't care if my words don't sound right. I don't care if I'm not articulate. I don't care that somebody may say, well, what is he talking about? Well, I'm praying. I'm talking to God. Come unto God's house. Gotta be willing to pray unto him, praise unto him, give him worship, be thankful for all that he has done. Isn't it something? And I'm done now. Isn't it something? We come to the Lord's house for different reasons. Now, watch this. Many come to the Lord's house because they want to have a fairy tale wedding in the house of the Lord. So they join a church just so that they can have the wedding ceremony in the church. And after they say their vows and their attendance is sparse and sporadic, or come to the Lord's house for the funeral when you know that the deceased could care less about God, didn't live a life in the presence of God, didn't even try. Let it be known. I'm not down with that Jesus thing. But we so foolish and so hellish. We want to lay them out in good fashion in the Lord's house. Now, see, you got to live a life for God, and you got to live it now. That I will pay my vows unto the Lord now in the presence of his people. Living a life because you love him, because he first loved us. Yield in your heart, yield in your soul, because he pulled us up out of the pit of corruption, pulled us up out of the pit of the miry clay. And now you call on him. Now you worship him. Now you praise him. So what am I saying? What am I saying? It's all wrapped up in verse number 12. Psalm 116, verse number 12. What shall I render unto the Lord for all his benefits towards me? In other words, how important is all that God hath done for you? How important is it to you that you'll do everything that you can do for him while you're here, waiting in expectations of eternal life. What are you going to do? What are you going to render for God? What are you going to give to God? Give him your life. Give him your heart. Give him your hands. Whatsoever thy hand find to do, do it with all thy might. For there's no, uh, 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 when you die, when you go into the grave, it's all over. There's nothing else that can be done when you die and you leave here. Because we're all going to the grave. We're all going, we all come from the dust of the ground, and unto the dust we shall return. I stop right there. Listen, looking to see each and every one of you on tomorrow. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., we'll start Sunday school. We'll start service at 10. Looking for each and every one of you to be there. Let's see who we have here. And typically, I don't do this, but let me see. It's good to see you all here. Let's see, Sister Sonia, good to see you. Good to see you online here. Looking for you in the Lord's house tomorrow. Mother, I see you online here. God bless you. Hope you're feeling well. Hope you're feeling better. Wrap up. Come on out to the Lord's house. Sister Liz, good to see you. Good to see you here. Glad to see you in service. Praying that you're all getting better now. Sister Mars, God bless you. Who else is on here? All right. All right. All right. All right. D, good seeing you this morning. All right. That's all I can see on this side. There's some more on the other platform, but I can't see who's there. I can only see you if you put a post up here. All right. So God bless you. Heaven smile on you. Thank God for you. See you in the morning. Peace. All right. All right. Everybody have a wonderful day. Wrap up if you go outside. It's a little cool out there today. See you on tomorrow. God bless you. Peace. Yes, Lord. Thank you, Lord.